The big training ship moved slowly through the dark space. It was not a regular ship. This ship held the best warrior school in the whole galaxy. The Intergalactic Combat Academy was famous everywhere. Soldiers from 17 different types of aliens came here to learn how to fight and become the best. The academy stood at the edge of a place called the Kepler Sector. It was a huge building made of strong metal and stone. Inside, there were many training rooms, sleeping areas, and study spaces. The walls were white and clean. Everything was very organized and modern. Instructor Jiwoo was the most respected teacher in this school. He was a human from Earth. His hands had many scars on them from his long life as a fighter. His face was strong and serious. When he walked through the halls, other people moved out of his way. They did not need to be told. They just knew who he was and what he had done in the past. Jiwoo had fought in wars across 3 different star systems. He had won battles against impossible odds. But now, he was old. His black hair had turned gray. His body moved slower than it used to. But his mind was still sharp and fast. He could see things about fighters that nobody else could see. Today was special. A new group of trainees would arrive at the academy. Jiwoo stood in the plasma training chamber and waited for them. The room was very large. The walls were covered with dark glass. There were many machines on the walls that could shoot small balls of hot plasma. These were not real weapons. They were safe and made for training only. The door opened and the new trainees walked in. There were many of them. Some were very tall. Some had green skin, some had hard, stone-like skin, some had extra arms, some looked like they came from giant lizard families. Jiwoo saw Draker warriors. He saw Thernax soldiers. He saw Valorians. Each type of alien was different from the others, but then he saw her. She was human, like him. Her name was Lee Na. She was not very tall. She was thin and looked delicate like she could break easily, but her eyes were different. They were calm. They did not show fear or excitement. They just showed focus and thought. Lee Na wore the standard gray suit that all new trainees wore. Her dark hair was pulled back very tight in a bun. She stood quiet while the other trainees talked and made jokes. She did not try to make herself look bigger or stronger. She just stood and watched everything around her. One trainee was different from all the others. His name was Min Ho. He was a Valorian, which meant he came from the planet Valoris Prime. Valorians were special fighters. Their bodies could move faster than most other creatures. Their skin could stand very hot temperatures. Their bones were harder than regular bones. For many years, Valorians had won all the fighting matches and competitions. They thought they were the best fighters in the whole galaxy. Minho walked into the room like he already owned it. He was very tall, almost 2 meters high. His skin sparkled like clear crystal when the light touched it. His shoulders were wide and his muscles were very big. He wore expensive clothing that showed everyone he was important. Minho looked at the other trainees with a smile that said he thought they were all weak. He looked at the Drakers and the Thernax soldiers. Then he looked at Lena. His smile got bigger. She was the smallest person in the room. She looked like she would be the easiest to beat. Jiwoo saw all of this. He had seen it before. Young, strong trainees always came to his academy thinking they were the best. They always thought their physical bodies were enough to win any fight. But Jiwoo knew something different. He knew that power was not just about muscles and speed. There was something deeper. There was something in the mind and the heart that mattered more. Jiwoo raised his hand and the room became very quiet. Everyone stopped talking and looked at him. When he spoke, his voice was not loud, but everyone could hear it clearly. "Welcome to the academy," he said. "Today we will test how fast your bodies are. We will test how good your eyes are. We will test how well you can think when things happen very quickly. You will work together in pairs. One person will shoot plasma darts at the other person. The person being attacked must try to not get hit. You must move fast and think fast. This is how we teach you to be ready for real fights." The trainees listened carefully. Some looked excited. Some looked nervous. Minho just looked bored. He cracked his knuckles and made a sound like breaking ice. The other trainees moved back away from him a little bit. "I could use some warm-up practice," Minho said out loud. He was not asking permission. He was just telling everyone that he wanted to fight. "Let me go first. I will show you all how it is done." Jiwoo did not say much. He just pointed to the training area. Minho walked to the plasma launching machine. He stood there like a king standing on his throne. His arms were folded across his big chest. "Find an opponent," Jiwoo said simply. Minho looked around the room. His eyes moved from one trainee to another. Big fighters did not interest him. He wanted someone small and weak, someone who would be easy to beat, someone who would make him look good. Then he saw Lee Na. She was the smallest. She looked the weakest. Perfect. Minho pointed his finger at her. "You," he said. His voice was not mean exactly, but it was not kind either. "Let's make this quick. I do not want to hurt you too much on your first day." Lee Na did not say anything. She did not look scared or angry. She just moved toward the training area. She walked slow and calm. Jiwoo watched her very carefully. He saw something in her that most people would miss. There was no fear in her walk. There was no doubt in her eyes, just pure, clear focus. Lee Na took her place on the other side of the plasma field. Minho stood at the machine that would shoot the plasma darts at her. The machine hummed and made a soft sound. It was ready. Jiwoo watched both of them. Minho was smiling, sure that he would win easily. Lena was just waiting, calm and still. "Begin," Jiwoo said, and everything changed. Minho's hand moved to the control panel. His smile was wide. He thought this would be fun and easy. He pushed a button and the machine came to life with a low humming sound. Inside the machine, energy started to build up. The first plasma dart shot out from the machine like a small ball of fire. It moved very fast through the air toward Lee Na. It left a thin line of light behind it. The heat was so strong that the air around the dart shimmered and moved. Lena moved her body to the right. The dart flew past her, missing by maybe 1 meter. It hit the wall behind her and made a small explosion of light and heat. The blast made a loud noise that echoed in the big empty training room. Minho's smile stayed on his face, but something in his eyes changed a little bit. He had not expected her to move so fast or so smoothly, but it did not matter. One lucky dodge was not a real fight. He pushed the button again. Another dart came out. This one was faster than the first. Lee Na moved to the left this time. Her movements were small and careful. She did not jump or run. She just shifted her body weight from one side to the other. The dart missed her again. Minho's face became more serious now. He was starting to think about what he was doing. He increased the speed of the machine a little bit. He made the power stronger. This time, he would send more darts. This time, she would not be able to dodge them all. Darts started coming faster and faster. They came from different angles. Some came from the left. Some came from the right. Some came from above. Some came low toward her legs. The whole training chamber filled with lines of light and the smell of hot air. But Lena moved through all of it like she was dancing. Her body bent and moved. Her feet stayed balanced. She did not waste any energy moving too much. Every movement was exactly the right size and the right direction. It was beautiful to watch, actually. It was like watching someone who knew exactly what was going to happen before it happened. Some of the other trainees started to watch closely. They saw something unusual. The big Valorian with all his power was trying to hit this small human girl, but he could not. Not once. Not a single dart touched her. Jiwoo stood very still. His old face did not show any emotion, but his eyes were bright and alive. He was seeing something that he had not expected to see. Minho was getting angry now. His movements became faster, but they also became less careful. He was not thinking about what he was doing anymore. He was just trying to hit her with bigger, faster, stronger darts. He wanted to prove that he was better. His Valorian pride was hurt because this small human girl was making him look bad. He pushed the machine to its highest setting. The power level was now so high that it was almost dangerous. The darts came out so fast, they looked like a stream of fire. They filled half the training chamber. It was not a fair fight anymore. It was not training. It was Minho trying to prove something to himself. And then Lena did something that nobody was ready for. One dart came toward her very fast. It was coming straight at her middle body, right where her heart was. It was moving at top speed. This was the kind of dart that would hurt, even with the protective suit. Lena did not move away. Instead, she reached out with her left hand, her bare hand. She had taken off the protective glove. Her skin was pink and soft, not covered by any protection at all, and she caught it. The plasma dart, moving at lethal speed, came down into her open palm. For just a moment, everything seemed to stop. There was a sound like thunder. There was a bright flash of light that made everyone close their eyes. The dart hit her hand and just stopped. It did not push her back. It did not hurt her. It just stopped. Heat radiated out from her hand in waves. Steam rose up from her skin. Her hand glowed with a bright light that was almost too bright to look at. But she held it steady. Her arm did not shake. Her body did not move. And then, slowly, the plasma energy faded away. It became smaller and smaller until it disappeared completely. Lena opened her hand and let what was left of the energy scatter into nothing like dust in the wind. Her palm was red and burned. Blisters were forming on her skin, but her face showed no pain. Her breathing stayed calm and slow. The entire training chamber went completely silent. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Everyone just stared at what had happened. Minho's hand was still on the control button, but he had stopped pushing it. His face was white like paper. He did not understand what he had just seen. No human could catch a plasma dart. No human could survive that. No human could do that. But Lena had just done it. Lena looked directly at Minho. Her burned hand was hanging at her side. She walked across the training chamber toward him. Her steps were slow and calm. Her eyes were quiet and kind. She did not look angry or mean. She just looked like she felt sorry for him. When she got close to him, she spoke. Her voice was soft and gentle, like a mother talking to her small child. "Sweetie," she said, "aim properly." The words were not loud. They were not harsh. But they hit Minho harder than any physical blow ever could. His face became red with shame. The other trainees looked at him with new respect for Lena and something like pity for him. Minho's launcher stopped working. It had gotten too hot from all the power he had pushed through it. Smoke came out of the machine. It was broken. He had broken it because he was not thinking. He was just trying to hit her, and he had failed. Ji-woo walked slowly into the training chamber. He looked at Lena's burned hand. He looked at her calm face. He looked at her quiet eyes. "Medical bay," he said to her, nodding toward the door. "Go and have someone heal your hand." Lena bowed respectfully and walked out of the chamber. Ji-woo turned to face all the other trainees. His old face was serious and strong. When he spoke, his words were clear and important. "Let this be your lesson," he said. "Power without understanding is just noise. It is loud and big, but it means nothing. Control without heart is just movement. It is pretty to watch, but it does not mean anything real. What you just saw was not superhuman strength. It was not magic. It was something far more dangerous than any of those things." He paused and let his gaze move from one trainee to another. "It was wisdom," he said. 3 days passed slowly. Lena spent 2 of those days in the medical facility. The doctors there were skilled and used advanced machines to heal her burned hand. First, they put special cream on it that cooled the pain away. Then they used a healing machine that made the skin grow back and new skin cells form. By the 3rd day, Her hand was almost completely healed. The skin was still a little bit darker where the burn had been, but it worked normally again and did not hurt. Lena moved around the academy during these 3 days. She attended classes about alien cultures and history. She learned about the different types of fighters and how they thought. She studied the rules and laws of fighting competitions. She made no friends and spoke to no one unless they asked her a question first. The other trainees watched her carefully. They whispered about her when they thought she could not hear them. Some said she was part robot because no human could catch a plasma dart. Some said she had special powers from Earth that nobody knew about. Some just said she was very lucky and had done something impossible one time. Min-ho did not come to classes anymore. His shame was too deep. He asked his commanders for special training away from the main group. Everyone knew that he had lost to the smallest, weakest-looking trainee on the first day. His Valorian pride had been broken. On the morning of the 4th day, a message came to Lee Na's small room. It was a request from Instructor Ji-woo. He wanted to see her in his office right away. The message did not say why. Lee Na walked through the white halls of the academy. The walls were very clean and quiet. Very few people were in the hallways at this early hour. She came to Ji-woo's office and pressed the button outside the metal door. "Come in," a voice said from inside. Lena pushed the door open and stepped into the office. Ji-woo was sitting behind a large desk. There were papers and computer screens on the desk. On the walls, there were pictures of Ji-woo from many years ago. He was younger in these pictures. He was standing with other human soldiers. He was holding weapons. He was standing in front of important buildings. Some of these pictures looked very old. "Close the door," Ji-woo said. Lena closed it carefully and sat in the chair across from his desk. She waited for him to speak. She did not try to fill the silence with words or explanations. Ji-woo studied her for a long time before he said anything. His old eyes moved across her face, looking at every small part of it. He was trying to see inside her somehow, trying to understand who she really was. "I have been teaching at this academy for 23 years, Ji-woo said finally. "I have seen thousands of trainees come and go. I have seen fighters who could move faster than the eye could follow. I have seen soldiers who could break metal with their bare hands. I have seen aliens from planets that have technology beyond what humans can even imagine." He paused and took a slow breath. "But I have never seen anyone do what you did," he said. "Do you know that? No one has ever caught a plasma dart before. It is not possible. The scientists say it cannot happen. The doctors say the human body cannot survive it. The engineers say there is no way to calculate the exact moment and angle to do it. And yet, you did it." Lena listened quietly. Her hands were folded in her lap. "How much do you know about plasma dart catches?" Ji-woo asked. "Nothing, sir," Lena said honestly. "I have never heard of anyone doing it before today." "Exactly, because no one does it. Because it is theoretically impossible." Ji-woo leaned back in his chair and made a small sound like a laugh, but it was not really funny. "A human hand, even with the suit on, should not be able to catch a plasma dart. The heat would destroy the hand. The speed would break the bones. The force would crush the fingers. But you did not think about any of these things, did you?" "No, sir," Lena said. "You just did it," Ji-woo said. It was not a question. "Yes, sir." Ji-woo was quiet for a moment. Then he asked a different question. "What did you see when Min-ho was shooting the darts at you?" Lena thought carefully before she answered. She was not trying to impress him or tell him what she thought he wanted to hear. She was thinking about the truth. "I saw a pattern," she said slowly. "When he was calm, his shooting was very good and very controlled. But when he got frustrated, his aim changed. His darts started coming to the same place each time. After he became very angry, he was just throwing energy at me. He was not thinking anymore. He was just trying to hit me because his feelings were hurt." Jiwoo nodded slowly. "Go on," he said. "The last dart that I caught," Lena continued, "it was aimed at my middle because he was overcompensating for his emotional state. I could see that it would come to a certain place at a certain time. I calculated that if I did not move, I could intercept it at the weakest point of its trajectory, just as its deceleration field began to break apart and become weaker." "You calculated this in what amount of time?" Jiwoo asked. "Maybe half a second, sir," Lena said. "You calculated the exact moment and place to catch a plasma dart in half a second," Jiwoo said. It was not a question either. He was just saying what he already knew. Most humans cannot even think that fast. "I had training before I came here," Lena said quietly. "Special training from Earth Command. But I do not think it is about thinking fast. I think it is about understanding." Jiwoo's eyes became bright and sharp. "Understanding what?" "Understanding people," Lena said. "Understanding why they do things. Understanding what they are feeling. When you understand someone, you can predict what they will do next. Emotions are not random. They follow patterns. If you see the patterns, you can know what is coming." Jiwoo sat back and looked at Lena for a very long time. Then he asked the most important question of all. "Why did you not just dodge, like you did with everything else?" he asked. "Why did you catch it?" Lena met his eyes. "Because he needed to learn something," she said. "On Earth, we have an ancient way of fighting called Aikido. The main idea is simple. You do not try to push against your opponent's force. You receive their force and redirect it. You use their own power against them. I caught his dart not to show that I was strong. I caught it to show him that aggression without understanding is a losing path. I wanted him to see that." Jiwoo smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. It was the first time Lena had seen him smile. "You are not here to be a standard combat trainer, are you?" he said. "No, sir," Lena said. "I am not here for standard training." Jiwoo nodded slowly. He had already figured this out. "Earth Command sent you for a specific reason," he said. "They believe something that the other species of the galaxy do not yet understand. Tell me what it is." Lena sat up a little straighter. This was the moment she had been waiting for. She could finally tell him the truth about why she was here. "Earth believes that humanity's real strength is not physical strength," she said. "We are not the fastest runners. We are not the strongest fighters. We do not have the hardest skin or the sharpest weapons. Other species have all of these things, but humans have something different. We have the ability to adapt. We can learn from experience very quickly. We can understand other people in ways that most creatures cannot. We can see patterns in behavior. We can predict what others will do. We can use understanding as a weapon." Jiwoo listened carefully. He did not interrupt her. He just let her speak. "The galaxy has known about fighting for thousands of years," Lena continued. "Every alien race has studied combat and fighting. They have made machines and weapons. They have trained their bodies to be stronger and faster. But none of them have studied the mind in the same way. None of them have understood that the real battle is not physical. It is mental. It is about knowing your opponent better than they know themselves." Jiwoo stood up and walked to the window in his office. Outside, he could see the training grounds. Young fighters of many different types were practicing with weapons and equipment. "I came to this galaxy believing the same thing," he said without looking back at Lena. "I came from Earth. I learned to fight in wars against other humans. That taught me something that most species never learn. When you fight someone who thinks like you, who feels like you, who is basically the same as you learn that the real battle is always about understanding. You learn that the strongest weapon is not a gun or a sword. It is the ability to see inside another person's mind." He turned back to face her. "Then I came here, and I saw that the galaxy had not learned this lesson. They were still fighting like children, like animals. They were still believing that power meant strength, that bigger meant better, that faster meant winning. "Yes," Lena said. "That is why I am here. That is why Earth Command sent me." Jiwoo walked back to his desk and sat down. He looked tired suddenly, but also alive in a way he had not looked in many years. "I am old now," he said. "I cannot teach forever. I need someone who understands what I understand. Someone who can teach the galaxy what it really needs to learn. Someone who is not afraid to face trainees who are stronger and faster and more powerful because they know that strength is not the most important thing." He paused and looked directly at Lena. "You are that person," he said. "Are you ready for this?" Lena did not hesitate. "Yes, sir. I am ready." "Then let me teach you everything I know," Jiwoo said. "Not just how to fight, but how to understand fighting, how to understand people, how to teach them not just to win, but to truly understand what they are fighting for and why." Over the next 6 months, Lena's life changed completely. She was still a trainee, but now she was also Jiwoo's student in a deeper way. Every day after the normal training classes ended, she would go to his office. They would talk about philosophy. They would talk about human nature. They would talk about the different alien species and how they thought. They would talk about the meaning of strength and power and victory. Jiwoo taught her things that no other instructor at the academy would teach. He taught her that a real fighter did not want to hurt people. A real fighter wanted to understand them. A real fighter tried to win battles without causing unnecessary pain. A real fighter knew that the best victory was when your opponent learned something important from losing. Lena also continued her regular training, but now she trained differently. When other trainees faced her, they found something they had not expected. They found someone who could predict their movements, not because she was faster, but because she understood their psychology. She knew what they would do before they did it. Not because of magic, but because she had studied how they thought. The other trainees began to respect her in a new way. They were not afraid of her because she was stronger. They were amazed by her because she was smarter. They wanted to understand what she understood. Minho watched all of this from a distance. He had taken special training far away from the main academy, but he still heard stories about what Lena was doing. He heard how other trainees would go to her asking questions about fighting. He heard that she could teach them things that made them better. Something changed inside Minho during these 6 months. His shame slowly turned into curiosity. His anger slowly turned into respect. He wanted to understand how someone so small and seemingly weak could be so smart. He wanted to learn from her the way the other trainees were learning. One day, 6 months after the plasma dart catch, Minho came back to the main training area. He was different now. He was still tall and strong, but he was more humble. His pride was still there, but it was quieter now. He approached Lena where she was teaching a group of younger trainees. He waited until she was finished. Then, very formally and respectfully, he asked if he could train with her. Lena smiled and said yes. And so began a new chapter in Minho's life. He would learn from Lena. He would learn that strength without wisdom was nothing. He would learn that the real power came from understanding yourself and others. He would learn the lessons that the galaxy needed to learn. The news of what was happening at the Academy began to spread to other star systems. Other commanders and leaders began to notice. They began to send their best fighters to learn from this young human woman named Lena. Something was changing in the galaxy. Something was shifting in how everyone understood what it meant to be a great fighter. 1 year later, the biggest fighting competition in the galaxy was about to begin. The Galactic Combat Tournament happened only once every 10 years. The best fighters from across all the known space systems came to compete. It was held in a huge arena carved from solid stone on a neutral planet in the middle of the galaxy. Thousands of different alien creatures watched from the observation areas. The prize for winning the tournament was enormous. The winner would be named the greatest fighter in the galaxy. More importantly, the winner would represent their entire species in the Outer Rim conflicts. These conflicts were important wars that happened on the edge of explored space. Being chosen to represent your species was the highest honor possible. It meant your people believed you were the best and strongest among them. Lena had been training for this tournament her entire time at the academy. She had fought against many different types of aliens. She had learned their fighting styles. She had studied how each species thought and fought. She understood their strengths and their weaknesses. She was ready. Minho had also trained hard for this tournament. But his training was very different from before. He did not train to be bigger or faster. He trained to be smarter. He learned from Lena about understanding his opponents. He learned about controlling his emotions during fights. He learned about looking beyond the obvious and seeing deeper truths. When the tournament began, hundreds of fights happened. In the first round, fighters were matched against opponents they had never faced before. In the second round, only the winners remained. These fighters battled each other. The field of competitors slowly got smaller and smaller. More and more fighters fell to the platform in defeat. Lena moved through the tournament like water flowing downhill. Every fight she had, she won. But the way she won was different from how other fighters won. She did not overpower her opponents. She understood them. She moved with them. She showed them where their weakness was. She taught them something important while she defeated them. One Drakir warrior, a large creature with scales like armor, fought her in the third round. The Drakir was confused when Lena did not try to match his strength. Instead, she moved aside when he attacked. She redirected his power. She used his own weight against him. The Drakir fell to the platform, not because Lena hurt him, but because he had exhausted himself by attacking nothing. When the Drakir stood up at the end of the fight, he bowed to Lena, not because he had to, but because he had learned something. He had learned that strength without direction was worthless. Minho also won his fights. He moved through the tournament with skill and understanding. He did not come here to prove that Valorians were the best anymore. He came because he wanted to test what he had learned. He wanted to see how far his understanding could take him. He wanted to face Lena in the final match and see what would happen. After many days of fighting, only two competitors remained. Lena and Minho faced each other in the center of the arena. The massive stone structure was filled with the sounds of millions of creatures watching. The energy in the arena was so strong that you could feel it in the air. Lena walked to her side of the arena. Minho walked to his side. They stood across from each other. Between them was the fighting space where they would battle for the title of greatest fighter in the galaxy. Jiwoo sat in the special section for teachers and trainers. His old face was calm and peaceful. He was not worried about who would win. He just wanted to see what these two would teach the galaxy with their fight. The announcer called out in a deep voice, "The final match begins. Fighter Lena from Earth. Fighter Minho from Valoris Prime. Begin!" They began slowly. Lena moved and Minho moved. He had learned so much. He was not the angry, frustrated fighter he had been at the beginning. He was thinking now. He was watching her movements. He was trying to understand her rhythm. But Lena had been practicing this kind of fighting her entire life. She could see 3 moves ahead of where Minho was. She could predict what he would do based on tiny movements of his shoulders or his feet. She moved with perfect efficiency. No motion was wasted. No energy was used on movements that did not matter. They fought for a long time. 20 minutes passed, then 30 minutes. The crowd was silent, watching every movement. This was not like other fights in the tournament. This was something special. This was teaching happening in real time. Minho tried many different attacks. Fast attacks, slow attacks, strong attacks, tricky attacks that tried to catch Lena by surprise. but every single one was answered by Li Na. She did not just block them, she understood them, she worked with them. She showed Minho new ways to move and think. After 45 minutes, Minho's body began to get tired. His muscles were burning, his breathing was hard. He had fought well, but his body was reaching its limit. Even Valorian bodies, with all their special abilities, could only work so hard for so long. Lena was barely tired at all. Her breathing was calm. Her movements were still perfect. But she did not press her advantage. She did not try to hurt Minho while he was tired. Instead, she moved him slowly toward the edge of the platform. Finally, after exactly 52 minutes of fighting, Minho lost his balance. His foot went back beyond the edge of the fighting space. He fell to one knee. According to the rules, this meant he had lost. Lena had won the tournament. The crowd made a sound so loud it seemed like the arena might break. They screamed and cheered. Millions of creatures were making noise at the same time. But the most important moment came after the official announcement. Lena walked across the platform toward Minho. He was still on his knee, his head down, breathing hard. She extended her hand to help him up. This was not something winners usually did. This was not part of the ceremony or the rules. Lena helped Minho stand up. He looked at her with respect and something like gratitude. She had defeated him, yes, but she had done it while teaching him. She had beaten him while also making him better. Together they stood in the center of the arena with the crowd screaming around them. Ji-Woo smiled from his seat. The message had been sent. The message that the galaxy had needed to hear was finally being understood. Strength was not the most important thing. Understanding was. Wisdom was. The ability to see inside another person and know what they were really fighting for, that was the real power. And humans had shown the galaxy that this kind of power was possible.